It's no secret that Korean is a pretty difficult language to learn, but it doesn't help when a lot of what the textbook teaches you isn't actually the way that people speak in real life. So in this video, I'm going to go through 5 things that the textbook doesn't teach you about Korean, and some ways that you can speak Korean more naturally. Saying you. If you look at a Korean textbook, usually it'll tell you that the word for you is no if someone is younger than you, and 당신 if someone is older than you. But you never really use the word 당신 unless you're trying to start a fight with somebody. If someone is younger than you, then you can use the word no, that's correct. So if you're talking to a kid or someone like that, you can refer to them with the word no. And no always pairs with 반말. So the ending will never be 요 or 입니다. It'll always just be the plain 반말 ending. So for example, 너 뭐 하고 싶어? Would mean, what do you want to do? For a kid or, again, someone who's younger than you. It gets a lot more difficult when you're talking to somebody older or the same age as you, or someone who is higher in the social hierarchy than yourself. Here, you have to be a lot more nuanced with the words you use, and you basically can't use the word you. First, if you know someone's title or if you know their relationship to you, then you can use that word to refer to them. So if you're a man and you're talking to another man who's slightly older, you can call them 형 or 형님. You can use any of those familial terms for older brother or sister, depending on if you're a man or a woman and if the person you're talking to is a man or a woman. Alternatively, if they're your boss, you could call them 팀장님 or 대표님 or any of the words that refers to their title. Or if they're your teacher, you can call them 선생님. You can use all of these words which specifically refers to their relationship to you. If someone is not significantly older than you and you know their name, then you can also use their name plus she or 님. But of course, the difficulty comes when you don't know their name or their title or their relationship to you. In that case, how can you say the word you? Well, one way is to actually use the word 선생님. You can call random people on the street 선생님 if you want to be very polite and if you want to show a lot of respect to them. But the real solution is, in Korean, you actually don't need the word you because Korean has the honorific suffix. To make this clearer, I'm going to give you 2 example sentences. 오늘 체육관 가요? 오늘 체육관 가세요? The first one doesn't have the honorific suffix, and that means it can refer to anybody, and it's a bit ambiguous. I could be saying, I am going to the gym. I can be saying, you are going to the gym. He is going to the gym. It isn't very clear. However, the second sentence has the honorific infix se, and in this case, it can't refer to me. So this sentence cannot mean I am going to the gym because it's incorrect for me to use the honorific suffix about myself. So this sentence, 오늘 체육관 가세요, can only mean are you going to the gym or is he or she going to the gym. Saying he or she. Similarly to the word you, you'll see a lot of Korean textbooks teach that the word for he is 그 and the word for she is 그녀. You'll never hear Koreans actually say this in conversation, and it would be very strange to refer to somebody just by 그 or 그녀. The way that Koreans actually say he or she is, again, like the word for you, is you just say their title, or their name, or their relationship to you. Once you've established who the subject is and who you're talking about, you can continue your sentences using the honorific suffix if you need it, or without it if it's someone younger than you. It'll be clear that you're talking about them until you change the subject and change to another person. However, if you're talking about somebody younger than yourself or somebody that you have a pretty close relationship with, you can use the words ye, 걔, or 쟤, which means this kid, and that kid over there. As you can tell, this is a very informal word to use, so you'd only use it for talking about somebody who is younger than you. Common phrases. Korean textbooks will tell you a few common phrases which actually aren't used all that much. The most common one that I've seen is the word for please, where most Korean textbooks will teach you that the word is 부탁합니다. This is very, very formal and polite. It's very rarely used to actually mean please. If you want to say please, as in please do this, or please give me this, you'll add the auxiliary verb 줘, which means to give, and you'll usually add 세요 afterwards as the honorific suffix. If you want to say please do this, you'll say 이거 해주세요. Another one is the word for excuse me. Often you'll see something like 실례합니다 in a textbook, but very common is people just say 잠시만요, which means 1 second or 1 moment. Finally, the word for you're welcome, or the response to thank you, is not 천만에요, as most Korean textbooks would teach you. If someone says thank you to you, if someone says 감사합니다, you can just say 아니에요 or 아닙니다. That's much more natural than saying 천만에요, which you will very, very rarely hear. Omitting particles. So just like you can speak Korean without actually saying the word you can remove a lot of the particles after words if it's clear from context what the word is doing in the sentence. You can also remove the plural marker if it's clear that you're talking about multiple things. For example, if I want to say, did you go to the restaurant yesterday? I can say, 어제 식당 가셨어요? Here, I don't really need to say 식당에 가셨어요 because it's very clear that you're going to the restaurant. It would make no sense to say 식당이 갔어 or 식당과 갔어. The only thing that really makes sense from context is 식당에. So I can just say 식당. 식당 가셨어요? Another example where you omit multiple particles would be, do you want to play a game? 너 게임 하고 싶어? In this case, I don't need the subject marker on 너, and I don't need the object marker on game, because it's very clear from the context that you are playing the game, or you are doing the game, and not the game is doing you, or any other configuration. However, if it's not clear from the context what each word is doing in the sentence, then you should just leave the particles in and make sure everything is 100% clear. Levels of speech. Most Korean textbooks will teach you that there are quite a few different levels of speech and you should learn these different ones and use them in different circumstances. But to be honest, if you just learn the form ending in 요, you can use that with everybody in Korea without any problems. It doesn't matter if someone's younger than you can say 요 and you're being very polite. If someone is older than you can say 요 and again, you're being polite. You won't offend anybody and you will have no troubles in Korea if you only use the 요 form. Later on, once you know who you can speak 반말 to and who you might want to speak 입니다 form to, at that point you can learn these other forms. You can also learn the plain form for writing essays, but the 요 form will serve you perfectly well in every situation. Now, one bonus tip that I have for Korean is that in a lot of cases, it's very natural to use English words in your Korean sentences. You'll be very surprised, especially in professional settings, the amount of English words that Koreans put into their sentences. Sometimes it feels like they've made a Korean sentence, but then they've replaced all of the nouns and verbs with English words. Now, I've made a list of words where there is a Korean version that exists, but where the English has become a lot more popular or a lot more commonly used. I've put the list of these words in the description below. For some of them, the Korean word is used sometimes, but these are just examples where I've found that the English word is a bit more common. For example, if you go and try on some clothes, you might want to know what size the clothes are. Now, there is a native Korean word for size, which is 크기, and you'll see that sometimes. But for clothes and things like that, it's much more common to see the word 사이즈 to denote size. So these are examples where it can be more natural just to say the English word. Just remember, you have to pronounce these words with the Korean phonetic system, otherwise people often won't understand what you're saying. If we go back to the word size, if you say size with an English pronunciation, people might understand you, but you should really try and recognize that this is a Korean word now. Just like English has borrowed words into English and they become pronounced with the English way, Korean has borrowed English words into Korean and they get pronounced in the Korean way. So you should really try and say 사이즈. 사이즈 with 3 syllables, not size with 1 syllable. Okay, I hope this was useful for you guys. I try to answer all the comments that I get, so feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments below. See you next time.